Let's move over to the other side of the football and talk about the Texans real quick. And it was a very down day for C.J. Stroud, his worst game of his NFL career. Tristan, talk to us about how confident you are, your confidence level in the Texans after this loss.
Am I confident for them to win a playoff game, for them to win the division? Like, where do you want me to answer it? Like Super Bowl contender? What scale
I want
are we
you to
right
answer it as I want you to answer it as a fan, and your Super Bowl or playoff outlook. And then I want you to kind of dial in on C.J. Stroud and talk about his issues today and if those can be remedied and what they would need to do so.
Okay, so as a fan, if I was a Texans fan, just in general, I still feel good about the team because Green Bay is one of the best teams in the league, right? Green Bay, I think we can agree, is a Super Bowl contender, at least in the NFC. Like it's not, no team has really separated themselves other than maybe Baltimore and Kansas City, which we'll talk about. But I think Green Bay is a great football team, and the Texans went in there and, could have won the game. They were close to winning. It's not like they got blown out. They were back and forth. So I would feel good about the Texans because you've got a great quarterback. And when you have a great quarterback, you can win every game. Literally. It doesn't matter what, it's the same thing with the Chiefs. People were like, oh, the Chiefs don't blow people out. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter though, because it's close late and the quarterback makes things happen. And CJ Stroud is one of those quarterbacks. He's great from the pocket. I think obviously they can win their division. They should win their division. Maybe they can win a playoff game, but I do have big concerns for the team. And the main one is what bit them today, and that's the offensive line, Ryan. That was the story of the Texans in this game. They really couldn't move the ball. If you look at CJ Stroud, what did he have? 86 yards. They were able to run it. Joe Mixon had 115.
86 yards today, right? He's never finished a game that he started, minus week 14, against, I think, the Jets maybe, where he had a concussion. He has never thrown for less than 100 yards in any game in the NFL until today. He was also pressured on 48% of his dropbacks.
Absolutely. And so you bringing up the pressure, let's just go ahead and look at that. I made this graphic. This is the top 5 most hurried NFL quarterbacks. CJ Stroud is number 1, 29 hurries. Dak Prescott's tied for number 1 at 29 as well. Sam Darnold, 23. Lamar Jackson, 22. I wonder how much of his is like kind of scrambling and creating it, but we know his line issues. And then Geno Smith at 20, and we know the issues Seattle's had. The fact that CJ Stroud is atop that list is worrying. This offensive line is an issue. I know Green Bay's defense was scheming it up. I know they were sending exotic blitzes. It wasn't a ton of just whiffs, but man, he was running for his life. And to your point earlier, when you have a shoddy offensive line that can't hold up in protection, and you've lost Nico Collins, and Tank Dell hasn't looked the same coming back off that injury, you're limited to basically just Stephon Diggs. And I think that's what bit the Houston Texans today. It wasn't just the offensive line being an issue, which it has been. It's the offensive line being an issue against a great defense when you don't have Nico Collins and Tank Dell's not performing. Nico Collins, we don't know when or if he'll be coming back, but I don't think the offensive line fixes itself. So I don't know if Joe Mixon can repeat this level of success every week, because without him, they get blown out today.
He's in the top 5 of most sacked quarterbacks in the league. He's been sacked 20 times now. 4 of those came today against the Packers. And I heard that he actually called Daniel Jones, and then they both three-wayed in to Deshaun Watson and asked which massage parlor they needed to go to tonight. I don't know if they figured it out yet, but just look for that on your front page newspaper come Monday morning. Daniel Jones, by the way, sacked 8 times today.
Yeah,
8.
That's just the
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
beginning.
That's 2 hands of sacks. You had to use 2 hands and almost your toes to count how many sacks Daniel Jones had. 4 of those for C.J. Stroud. This is a huge problem for the Texans. If they expect to make a deep playoff run here, or a playoff run at all, whether it be deep or shallow, they need to fix this, and I mean immediately. It's also strange how good of the running game is with Joe Mixon, right? But
yes,
the protection is not there for C.J. Stroud. And a lot of those runs are designed outside runs and sweeps and things like that. So it's blocking versus protection. 2 different things.
2 completely different things. You're 100% right.
A lot of times you're at least decent at, if you're great at run blocking, you're at least decent at pass blocking. Nope.
No, not in this case. Now, I don't think they're as bad as the numbers suggest sometimes, because it's not like they're just getting totally blown up.
No,
whether it's just
but 20 sacks you can't keep doing that.
No, and being the most hurried quarterback in the NFL. Not if you want to win a Super Bowl, obviously. But I don't think it can fix itself either. And as you said, like, how much will that run game be able to keep it up? Now, I wonder just on the other side, the defense is fantastic. They're the third best defense when it comes to yards a game allowed. They only allow 270 points a game allowed. They are 17th, so not great, but they're only averaging giving up 22.7 points a game. So that's a really good defense. If the defense can continue to play at that level, the offense will get away with it. And that's how they've gotten away with it so far. That's why they're 5-2, because when the offense struggles, the defense, holds other teams. And other teams aren't putting up 30 on them, so CJ Stroud doesn't have to go and outscore them. You just wonder, as the year wears on and Joe Mixon wears on, can this be kept up in January? And even though you trust CJ Stroud to go make you a play in the big moment, he struggled to do it today because of the lack of receivers and the offensive line. And I think we're at the point in the season where on the offensive line, you got what you got.